Hey there, today I'm going to talk about what I'm doing with regards to my gut health, about using Dr. Davis's Super Gut book, using his SIBO yogurt, and a few other ideas that I've got from other people along the way, listening to other information. I'm getting some results finally, and I'm excited to share. Now I'll link to Dr. William Davis's book underneath the video, and I will also link to my yogurt maker that I'm using because it's really cool, and so you can check those out if you want to. So if you've not been to my channel before, my name is Sue and I've been eating a carnivore diet now for about 18 months. I started in May 2022. Now when I started, I was fairly determined to just jump into a 100% carnivore diet, and so that's what I did. I stopped taking all my supplements and I just started eating meat and eggs and a bit of dairy, and everything was good to start with. There was things in my health that started to resolve fairly quickly, which was great. My history, my main issues had been IBS, diarrhea and anxiety, and they seemed to improve a bit at first. And then about a month or two into my carnivore journey, things suddenly got way worse. So I'd actually joined the Bella's Steak and Butter Gang and was doing the feasting fasting thing, and everything was going quite well. But then I started really having problems with bad diarrhea, worse than usual. And I was finding when I did some fasting, when I broke my fast, I'd be flat out getting to the toilet. Everything would just go through me so fast. So I quit that challenge because it was a 90-day challenge that I was doing. I quit that, and I was about 2 months into it when I stopped, and I started experimenting with things to try and manage the diarrhea. So I was started taking some supplements again, some slippery almond bits and pieces like that, and for gut health. And I experimented a little bit with having potato a few times a week and blueberries, and I found that they helped. I don't know whether it was the fibre or what, but I've continued having the blueberries since then because I've found that they do help. I kind of came to the conclusion that what the problem was oxalate dumping, which was playing a big part. I know that it was from the physical symptoms that I had, but there's been other stuff going on there as well. So over the months, I got to the beginning of this year, and things were improving quite a bit with my bowel. I was still having the blueberries, but my bowel motions were firming up and so I kind of thought that I was getting somewhere. And then I started having a lot of trouble with histamine, and when I started looking into histamine, I realized that I've had probably histamine issues most of my life, most of my adult life anyway, since I was a teenager. And so, but what really kind of brought it to a head was I ended up completely covered in a rash from my shoulders down to my knees, and it was as itchy as all fuck. And it took about 2 months to really settle down. So that kind of made me realize that my gut health wasn't where I thought it was, and got me looking again at more information. And so now, after doing a bit of digging around and looking at different people's info, I've come to the conclusion that I have had or have SIBO, so small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and have possibly had that for a whole big chunk of my life. And because once again, you kind of look at the symptoms and look back at my history, and the symptoms are all there, right back as far as at least when I was a fairly young teenager, maybe prior to that. And I think that what's possibly set me up, I think that my history, my gut flora that I've inherited from my mum was probably not the best. My mum was born in Glasgow in the tenements, and where average lifespan was in the 50s just a few years ago. And mum was always sick as a kid with asthma and eczema and different things. And then I was the firstborn, and I was born in Scotland and in Glasgow. And so I'm kind of picking that the gut flora that I inherited from my mum probably wasn't the best. My mum has also had IBS diarrhea for years, and hers started though after about a food poisoning in her 50s. And so yeah, so I kind of figured that I didn't get off to a very good start. And then when we migrated to New Zealand when I was little, I had constant tonsillitis, and I was on a lot of antibiotics, and I don't know how many courses of antibiotics, but I would have been on a lot of antibiotics before I finally had my tonsils out when I was 5. Now, I actually have to question whether the vaccinations that I had when we migrated to New Zealand came into play there somewhere as well. So I was not quite 2 years old when I had these vaccines, and one of them was a smallpox vaccination. And look, I've been looking into information around that vaccine, and it was actually a fairly dangerous vaccine. It had a reasonably high death and injury rate, and left people with ongoing issues. And so, being only little when I had that, I have to kind of wonder whether that might have played a part with the whole gut thing as well, and gut flora, because I believe that some vaccines actually have an effect on the microbiome, and that's why they have an effect on people and on their health sometimes. So anyway, so that's just the thought that I have now. When I was, like, from when I remember from when I was a kid, like, I had the tonsillitis, had my tonsils out, and then I just always had gut issues. Always had an obsession with food, couldn't get enough food into me, had real problems with anxiety even as a child, real social awkwardness. I was diagnosed with pyroluria when I was 50. If you don't know what pyroluria is, I have got videos from quite a while back on this channel about that from when I was diagnosed. And social anxiety or social discomfort is one of the big symptoms of pyroluria, and that's been right from when I was a kid. So this is the anxiety and everything all ties into gut health. So I'm kind of picking that there's been possibly this small intestine bacterial overgrowth right from when I was quite young, and then things have just got worse as I've got older. I think I've done a fairly good job of managing it for a lot of years. But then since we've been back in New Zealand with different stresses, mould exposure, 4 years in a very mouldy building for work, and then the last 5 years living in the house that we were in that had a bit of a mould problem, not too bad, but it was there, I think has all kind of played a part in that as well. So where I'm at now is I've been reading Dr. William Davis's Super Gut book, and this is really interesting. And even before I received the book, I started using some of his ideas because I've been watching his videos on YouTube. And so I've been making his SIBO yogurt, and I made some L-reuteri yogurt as well, just a couple of batches of that until I finally got it to work, and then I've left that alone and I'm just doing the SIBO. So the SIBO yogurt has L-reuteri, L-gaceri, and Bacillus coagulans in it. And the idea behind the yogurt, if you've not come across this, is that it's fermented for 36 hours. So you use these specific strains of these bacteria. They have to be the right strains to get the right effect. And you ferment it for 36 hours so that the bacteria count goes really high. Because when you take a probiotic, you might get a probiotic that has, 5 million CFU or even 20 million CFU or 5 billion CFU. But with the yogurt, the research that Dr. Davis has done shows that when you're fermenting the yogurt, he describes it as being like the idea when you ask a child if they'd rather have $1 million or a penny that doubles every day, and the kids always go, I'd have $1 million. But if the penny doubling every day by the time you get to the end of 30 days is something like $5 million, I think, because in those last few days, it goes like this. If you look at it on the graph, it goes like this, and then those last few days it just kicks up. And that's what happens with the bacteria count in this yogurt. So if you ferment it for 30 hours, the bacteria, because their bacteria are doubling each time, and so the bacteria count goes like this. But between hour 30 and hour 36, it kicks up like that, and so you end up with a yogurt that has about 200 billion CFU per half cup. So this is massive numbers of these bacteria. And Dr. Davis, if you don't know who he is, he's actually a cardiologist who got interested in the microbiome because he realised that it was playing a part in heart disease, is how I understand it. And he's the author of Wheat Belly as well. That was his first book. And so from his groups and the people that he works with, he has seen really good results with these yogurts, these long fermented yogurts with specific bacterias to help to get rid of small intestine bacterial overgrowth. So that's one of the things that I've been doing. Now, I've been listening to a whole bunch of people because that's what I do. And I came across a young fellow who had SIBO for 6 years, and he was really bad with IBS diarrhea. And he was trying all sorts of different things and going to different practitioners and not getting any result. And then he came across some information about the MMC, which is the migrating motor complex. And what that is it's the wave, the peristalsis, basically, in the small intestine that's supposed to happen. So, you've got this motion where it's kind of squeezing food through. And when we eat too often, when we are eating the wrong types of foods, when we're under stress, different things can cause this. It actually messes up that migrating motor complex. I think it's complex, migrating motor, MMC it is. It messes that up and it doesn't work properly. And then that allows bacteria to sit in the small intestine and start overgrowing. So that's one of the things that help to cause SIBO. So SIBO, I did a video recently on what SIBO actually is, so I'll try and remember to link to that below, but otherwise go and hunt it down. It's about 2 or 3 videos back. So SIBO can be caused by bacteria that are coming in through your mouth with the foods that you're eating, especially if you have low stomach acid, and low stomach acid is generally caused by that little bacteria H. pylori, which causes stomach ulcers. There's kind of been all these different things that I think have led up to where I have found myself in my 50s and close to 60 with my digestive health being so bad. So anyway, so this young fellow was talking about the MMC, and he ended up using a motility product which contains globe artichoke and ginger, and taking that twice a day, and it basically sorted his problem out. And his video is really, really interesting to listen to. He goes right back through his history, and his story is quite long, but I found it really interesting. I'll try and remember to link to that below. It's the only video on his channel. Bless him for putting that information up. So I bought myself a motility supplement which has globe artichoke and ginger in it, and I've been taking that twice a day on an empty stomach, so in the morning and in the evening before I go to bed, and I think that has made a big difference. And I've also been having the SIBO yogurt every day, and I'm having kefir as well, so I'm back making kefir with raw milk, and I am also making sauerkraut, and I bought some other fermented vegetables yesterday as well to try, which is just a mixture, really, really tasty, but it's a mixture of cabbage, ginger, chili, and garlic, and daikon radish, and it was really delicious as well. So I'm actually quite enjoying having those fermented vegetables. I know they're not carnivore, and I know there's people who are going to go, that's not carnivore, but I don't care, because this is about sorting my health out and sorting my gut out. So, yeah. But I know that there are a lot of people that are following me on this channel now who are like me, and they have gut issues, and they've been on carnivore for a long time, some of them like me, and not getting the results that they should be getting. And so I really want to share what I'm doing here, because I think there's potential to really help people, because this whole SIBO thing, so there's SIBO and there's SIFO, so SIFO, small intestinal fungal overgrowth. A lot of people have both. And so when I went onto the berberine, I don't know if you've seen that video. I tried having a go on the lion diet just a couple of months back, maybe not even that long, it might be a couple of months, and ended up with really bad diarrhea again for the whole 17 days that I was on it, and I quit. I went onto the lion diet thinking if I went on to just meat, it might just help to heal my gut up, but the diarrhea was too bad, and I ended up quitting. Now I'm wondering if the diarrhea was die-off, but I don't know whether that would be a thing. I also started on berberine through that time, but I only lasted on the berberine for 4 or 5 days because I wasn't sure what was causing the diarrhea, whether it was the diet or whether it was the berberine. So I quit the berberine until after I'd come off the lion diet. But I spoke then about how when I started on berberine, the noises, the first 48 hours, the noises in my belly were just incredible. And so there was obviously something really out of whack there that the berberine was killing off. It's like there was a war going on in there. And then I went back onto berberine once I'd stopped the lion diet, and I stayed on berberine probably for about 4 weeks, I think, which is probably about the right amount of time, going by William Davis's book. And so he talks about using either berberine or curcumin, because curcumin will kill off bacteria and fungus as well. Both of them are good for helping to heal the gut as well, the lining, but then they're possibly not, like he talks about the curcumin not being good potentially for long-term use, and I suspect the berberine as well is probably not the best for long-term use, possibly. I don't really know, but I've stopped taking that now as well. I stopped it around the time that I started taking the SIBO yogurt. So the berberine and the curcumin are basically antibiotic herbs. I also took some oregano, that's right, in capsule as well for a couple of weeks. So these are all antibiotic and antifungal herbs. The SIBO yogurt is antibiotic and antifungal as well. I'm most of the way through his book. I'm about three quarters of the way through, and I'm kind of unsure whether to go back to the beginning and follow his 4-week protocol. Although the first week is basically what I've been doing anyway, because the first week is removing stuff from my diet that I don't eat, things like wheat and grains and sugars and things like that. So that's I'm doing that anyway. The other things that he recommends in there is to be taking vitamin D, taking iodine, and a couple of other supplements as well. I can't think what they are, but I think I will probably do the vitamin D. I'll have to order some and start taking that. As I spoke about in a recent video, my vitamin D levels have historically been low, and I was quite surprised when I had my recent blood tests done and they were in range, which was really cool, and that's just been from eating the animal foods. But I think if I get onto a vitamin D supplement, it's obviously going to help, because vitamin D is essential for digestive health as well. And iodine, I've been taking just some iodine twice a week, nascent iodine. I'm a little bit scared of iodine because I think that's what kicked off my overactive thyroid a number of years ago, and I have seemed to be a little bit sensitive to iodine since then, because I've tried it every now and then. I'd start getting some symptoms, so I'm very cautious with it. And so at the moment I'm just taking 1 drop of nascent iodine twice a week. I might try upping it to another drop perhaps and see how I go. That's kind of where I'm at. The diarrhea has all settled down, and I'm actually doing firm poops again, which is pretty cool, because that hasn't been the case since before I went onto the lion diet. So this whole time there's been obviously things that I've been taking the berberine and stuff, and then the SIBO yogurt, so it's been kind of working on the bacteria in my gut. So I've been also taking charcoal and bentonite clay first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. I've been doing that during the week, like 5 days, and then not having it in the weekends up till now. I might try going without it this week during the week. Just I've been taking it because it helps, you know, if there is die-off, it helps to manage that. And because I still had a bit of diarrhea, I kind of figured that was helping with that. But as things have firmed up, I don't know that I need it the same. And so yeah, I might try going without that. I feel like I'm all over the place in this video trying to think of what I need to tell you. But yeah, so that's pretty much where I'm at. My SIBO yogurt works perfectly now, and I am making it with organic A2 milk. I'm not using that stuff out the cardboard carton anymore, which is really cool. Happy to be using some proper, really nice milk to be making that. And it still works. And I'm using my yogurt maker, which is brilliant. I'll pop a photo of that in here, and I will link to the yogurt maker below. It's designed for this, so it has a 2-litre container to make your yogurt in, and it you can set the temperature for whatever temperature you want, and up to 36 hours, which is brilliant. And it just sits there and does its thing on the bench, and it's really cool. If you have got any comments or questions, fire away below. I apologise if this video is a little bit all over the place. I've been out of practice for the last week after moving. That's my excuse. And if you like the video, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, share with anyone who you think might be interested, and I will talk to you again another day. Bye for now.